Hey, that's not a quick speed shop. We're working on my truck cab. I got the back on, I've got the roof on. I'm doing one little piece here to make it all perfect. And it came out as good as I could hope for it for aftermarket parts and a cab that was completely cut apart. So this is going to be a long one, I think, but let's put this C10 cab back together with all new aftermarket sheet metal. Today, we're going to fill in the back of the cab. We might put the roof skin on. I don't know how far we're going to get, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some kill mat sound deadening, and we're going to sound deaden this thing, because right now it's like this. It's tinny, super tinny. So what I want to do is wipe it down, because I think it's got a little bit of dust on it here. Now that it's bolted down, I feel good that I can put the back of the cab on and everything's going to be where it is. But like I said, we're going to get rid of the tinniness of this by kill matting the entire top of the inner roof structure, and we're going to kill mat the back panel here and take all that sound out of it. Now, I've done this before on my 80 Dodge truck project restoration. I did the same thing. I replaced the roof skin on the Dodge, and I did the inner part of the roof and the underside of the roof skin, and as long as back in the cab and all that stuff. The kill mat, you can buy it on Amazon. I want to say it's like 36 square feet is like 50, 60 bucks, something like that. But super awesome. You buy this roller to apply it. It's rolled up on, and it's the hot ticket. It's just a little dusty up here because of priming and grinding, and actually I should probably get some air and blow it off and then wipe it down with prep ball or something like that. So let me do that. Let me clean it up real fast, and then we'll get the sticking. All right. The secret to kill mat is there's no secret to kill mat. You just kind of start how you want to start. I'll probably start right in the middle. I don't know if I'm going to do this little back edge. I mean, I can probably roll over on that a little bit if I roll over, or do I go like this? Ooh, I like that. That kind of lays in like that. There we go. Let's try that. I had these out in the unheated side of the garage, or the less heated side of the garage, and it's a little, they're a little chilly, but I'm gonna be all right. Of course, I can't see what I'm doing, but you simply just get it on here. I'm going to start it quick with my hands, and then you get your little roller action, and you apply pressure and roll it down till like the diamonds or the rectangles start to mush in. I don't know if you're supposed to do it till they completely disappear, maybe. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. Some panels, you can't put that much pressure on them. Like this is a curved panel in the front here, so I can press on it pretty good. But once I get up in the center of the roof, it's going to be, you're not going to want to put that much pressure on it and damage the roof panel. But this is going on good so far, and the stuff will warm up in a second. Here we got the heat kicking in here because it got cold out. And I want to go here. I'm going to press first by these ribs, get that kind of worked in, and then do the flats. Obviously nobody's going to see this ever again, but we'll try to do it the best we can. Get across here, across this line. But I kill mat everything now. It just makes everything so much quiet, takes all the tinniness out of, especially these trucks and stuff. They're just, they're never meant for creature comforts like trucks are now. They're a truck, and if it was loud and tinny, that's how it was. But the kill mat is like a knockoff of like Dynamat. Dynamat's expensive. This is the same stuff, pretty much. I think it's made in Russia, of all places, which is crazy. But anyways, get it right at Amazon. Kill mat. And now listen. See the difference? So this will quiet that right up there. So we're just going to go get rid of our paper right on the ground. I wonder how many pieces it's going to take to do. I've got 2 boxes, so I should have plenty, but if we lay that one out there, how far does this get us? Aha, perfect. That worked out good. I like my layout. Came out awesome. All right, hold on a minute. Let me stick this guy. And even though this looks dusty, it's not dusty. It's overspray from the primer when I prime the lower part of the cab. But it is epoxy, so it's adhered to the EDP pretty good. Oh boy. Look at that. Oops, I put this on backwards. There's a little foil edge that kind of overlaps. If you want to get a perfect overlap, I wasn't paying attention. Put the panel on backwards, but it doesn't matter for what we're doing here. Just gonna roll her on out. You got to buy the roller separate. I forgot to mention that. It doesn't come with the box. You got to buy it separate. The roller is key. The roller is key. On the edge of the overlap, if you overlap them correctly, which I failed to do the first time, so we'll try it better this time, but it is what it is. And that is going to go like that and just roll over the edge just a little bit. Perfect. You don't need to cover every square inch. Like a lot of new cars will put a material like this, like squares of it in the center of the door panels and the cab panels and stuff, because it just takes all the reverberation out of the panel. So you'll see new cars with a type of sound deadener. And doing every square inch is probably overkill, like I just said, but you know what? I got it. I might as well use it. All right, I've kill matted here for a while, and it's all done. The top is done here. Looks good. And let's go in here for the tap test. Oh man, that is quiet. Bam. And so then I went around the back panel here. I was able to use up all my little side scraps here on this bottom edge, but I got this panel good. Nice and quiet. Threw up a couple pieces here. Then I also got up under the dash and I did a couple pieces like up under the top of the dashboard. It was real tinny, and that quieted that right down a lot. I did a little piece here. I want to try to keep it not visible from when you're like in the truck when I paint this. So I think there was a firewall pad in these trucks that these weird tangs hook on. I think there's a firewall pad that was probably all eaten away. But I've done a little bit of the kill mat there. I did up under the cowl here. You can see that there up under the cowl. I did up under there and under the dash and then under the piece there. So got a bunch of deadening action or damping action, but that's going to make a big difference. So now the next step is let's get out the back panel over here. I've cut the box down. I bought this panel from CJ Pony Parts, their truck division down in Harrisburg, or actually outside of Hershey, Pennsylvania. And it's $20 plus tax, so like $770. I picked it up. But literally a brand new, completely brand new back panel with the cab corners and everything. So, like, you know, the one that we cut off in the other video was rusted out all across here at top of these panels and stuff and everything else. So we've got the brand new panel. Hopefully there'll be like almost no body work required, just where the spot welds go. And it, I guess you're looking at it. Now what I want to do before we do anything with it is I want to put a little kill mat up here, and let's see where, better measure down from the window, but I want to put a piece of kill mat under the window and up here above the roof, and maybe in these corner pieces, just kind of seal it up, take all the noise out from around the window, because obviously I can't put that in there after it's done. So I'm going to do that right quick, and then we're going to get it out of the box and start fitting it to the truck. Okay, I got the kill mat put on the back panel here. I just went around the window for now. You know, that's the spot that won't get in there. The back panel on the inside is going to glue on, like in this area here. Oh, by the way, this thing's all painted with weld-through primer from the stamping, so that's good. But eventually, once it gets put in the truck, this whole back panel is going to get kill mat on it. But for now, this is the part that will be gone forever. And I just realized something I have to do is I got to go out on the other truck, and I got to take the wire for the cab light, which runs down this side, and it clips in here, and it clips in down there. I've got to get the wiring harness out of that truck, and it's like 20 degrees out right now. So, and it's dark. I was going to get it earlier, and I forgot. Whoops. So I'm going to go snag on that wire. We'll run that into the hole there, because it'll be a lot easier than trying to fish it later when the back of the cab is on. And actually, I can take a little piece of the kill mat and stick the wire right to it so the wire is contained. Or wait, would that be a good idea? Because what if you got to get it out later? Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll use masking tape. That way it could be pulled free if it has to be. Anyways, let me go get the wire real fast, and then we're going to go kirk and pick that guy up here and figure out. I'm not even sure the best scenario. I think it'll flex enough just to slip right around here, then we can mark it. There's going to be a bunch of little plug welds. All right, I went out and braved the cold weather. It is actually snowing out there, and so I had to work in the dark in the snow, but I got the interior light, which just kind of like clips into some plastic. I got it dangling here so I can work through that hole with some clamp action later. But I just went and I taped the cord with masking tape so it's like loosely in here, and if it needs to move around, the tape can bust free and it can move around later, but I didn't want it flailing while we're trying to fit the rear panel in there. I took some electrical tape and I taped it up where it goes into the clips here on the back of the B-pillar. So it's got a little rubber. These used to have rubber, like dipped in rubber around them, but that's come off. You can see like here's a little piece of it there, but taped it up, and then it runs down through when the outer rocker goes on. There's like a lip here, and the wires lay in the lip, and then this plugs into the bottom of the fuse panel, which bolts over here on my finger points. So that's good to go there. There's only one other wire that runs this way. The fuel sending unit wire runs off the fuel tank down around here, but that's another day. So let's grab this panel. Let me hook the camera up so you can see. Let's grab the panel and try to do something with it. Hoop. All right, here I come. What's the best way to do this? It's my first question. I haven't even seen the back side of it yet. Let me get over here and look. Yeah, it looks like the back of a cab. I don't see any dents at all. I got some scratches, but I don't see any dents. So I guess I'll just kind of hoop like this and do something like this and set it down here like this. Actually, rest it on the cab, on the bed mounts. I see. What can we see about this? Hoop. Oh, that was the cab corners going around. Everything looks nice. You know what? It looks like it will kind of get around the pillars over here, which you guys can't see because you're over there, but it looks like it won't be too bad to put on, I guess. Maybe, there we go. Put one side on at a time. Just kind of float in space. Geez, this seems like it's going to be pretty easy. That's going to float in space there. Now the next question is, can I get the... Oh, ow, that's my finger. Can I get the other side? Oh, I see now. Now it's going to be a trick. How do you get it on both sides at once? Look at this. We fixed, literally put the truck back together. But I've got to wrap around. Oh, it's hitting the cab corner. If I come up here. Oh. Will it get wide enough to slip over? I might need to. Oh, shoot. with the shape of the cab, I think maybe, no, it won't go over with the cab corners. So here's the problem. It's on that good, but see, I got to get it over this lip all the way on this side, which the cab corner fights you. And with the shape of it, I was like, can I get it up high enough? But then the cab corner kicks way down in. So that is going to be difficult. And I probably got to put it on and off a couple times to mark it and drill it for plug welds and all that kind of good stuff. So I've got to figure this out. I'm almost wondering now if I should take it back off and drill all my plug weld holes and mark everything at once and then put it on once and be done with it, because I don't know if it's going to be a struggle or not, but okay, that needs to do that. That needs to do that. Okay. Oh, maybe not. Whoop. Come on now. Okay, hold on. Something's happening. Okay, you get in there. It's not going to be as tough as I thought it was. Here we go. Boom. Awesome. Now that's pretty close to where it's got to be. Am I hitting on something? Is that spring fighting me? No, that's not touching. We fighting on here all the bottom of the cab corner, but the whole thing has got to go that way a little bit. Why is it not? Why does it not want to go that way? Is it because of that clamp over there? Set it for now, and we're going to look at it. What's this? The big hole here. Down there into the, I don't know if you guys can see, the lower part of this inner rocker. It's hitting the cab corner here. Are you looking in the light? You are, but right there, I got to trim that up a little bit to get it to go. And this side I've got clamped here, which it fits pretty good here. What's the inner rocker look like down here? Oh, it's up quite a bit on this side. All right, so I need to, what am I looking at here? I think the rear window is going to be the way to line it up. Okay, I'm high here and I'm in. You know what, that rear window hole looks like it's not quite cut exactly where it needs to be. How could that be though? Because it's stamped. Off this lower area down here, because that is not very good. It means I gotta take it back off unless I can cut it from the inside. Oh, can I cut it from the inside? It's gonna be tough. Probably can. Other than that, it's just gonna take a lot of miscellaneous fitting and monkeying around here. But we are, at least it's on there. And it looks like with a little trimming, it's gonna be okay. You know, this is an aftermarket panel after all. So it will be is what it is. And this here used to spot weld, but it's going to glue together when we do it this time. But and we're also going to plug weld down here, but that'll be easy to line up there. That's whatever it is. So the rear window and getting it fitted to the side structures is the most important part. Am I looking there versus? Over here. It's got to go in just a little bit. It's not too bad. It is a little squeegee jaw. The rolled in lip on the back of these here, I need to do a little bit of hammering here, but I've got it kind of in place. It's not perfect yet. I went and I got the AMD roof skin out to see how that fits up. And it's fitting okay. It's a little large and needs some trimming, so it's not sitting down perfectly square. It's got to come this way about 1/8 of an inch, and it's got a little kink right here. This corner piece is kicked in from shipping and bouncing on this corner, so I got to tweak that out. But the center of the roof fits really nice, and it's gonna fit good once I take the kinks out of it and trim it to fit right. But the center meets right up really nice to the center panel, and on this side there's a little bit of misalignment because there's an extra little bit of flashing on the back of the roof here, which doesn't allow it to sit down, and it's hanging over there just a hair. So it needs to have this lip trimmed back a little bit. But other than that, if I kind of eyeball it, it looks like it's going to lay right into place really nice with this panel. And I've got some misalignment issues over here. Inside, it's hitting... There's a little detail line up here. It's hitting this. I've got to roll this edge back a little bit. But both the corners are lining up good. Everything out, it's lining up pretty well from what I can tell. Like I said, the center of this roof is going to be mint. It's going to glue right down nice. I've got the window hole pretty much where it goes. This stamping is stamped just a touch smaller than the original back window, I think. But there was some pieces that used to stick up into the rubber. So what I'm going to do is get it in place and weld it. And then I'll take the rear glass, take the rubber off, and I'll hold the rear glass up. And if it is too big to fit in the hole, I can take the flap wheel down this lip a little bit after it's welded and make the glass fit. But I think it's going to be okay. It's acting like it's going to work out good. So the bottom fits good. One other thing I've been doing, I've been fitting the rocker panel up here. I don't have the door on it, obviously, to see how the bottom of the rocker lines up to the door. But if I put the rocker on kind of where it's supposed to go, that's where you need 3 hands. Kind of where the rocker's got to go. It looks like it's going to line up good. Actually, it's got to come up just a hair, right about there. It looks like it's fitting well. The body lines line up pretty good on the bottom of the cab panel and all that. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. The body line right there seems to line up with the interior detent body line of the door jamb. So I think it's going to be okay. I mean, obviously this is an aftermarket part, so it's not 100% GM, but it seems like it's pretty close. It's not off by like a 1/2 inch or anything. So I think just with the rear window hole action being the biggest hurdle, I think it's going to be okay to keep fitting it and getting it close to welding. I went and I drilled a whole bunch of holes here for plug welding or into the door jamb, and I've ground the primer off behind it. The rear here is out just a little bit, but this sucks right back in if I had a clamp on it. That clamps right in tight. I'm going to drill this for plug welds and plug weld that last. So I want to get all this fit up here. Like I got a little bit of misalignment here. This has got to pull out to be flush here, and then it's got to tap in just a little bit here. But I've got to relieve this inner piece, like I said. But overall, it seems to be fitting fairly well for the little bit of monkeying around I've done with it. Like I said, this side is out here. You can see how far it out is on the bottom. Up on top, it's got to go in just a little bit, and then it's going to go going in about 3/16 of an inch down here, which it's hitting back in here on this panel. So I'm going to roll this edge back in a little bit. I can see where it's hitting on the inside, and that should allow this to suck in. This will suck in a little bit once that gets clear. The bottom fits pretty nice. And with these holes, once I get it close, I'll put a couple of self-tapper screws in it to hold it. And then I'm going to mark things again and then take it off, clean up for all the spot welds around the rear window. All right, it's the next day. I got a late start out here. I was in watching the YouTubes, Mike Finnegan and Tony Angelo doing Drag Week. That was pretty good. Unfortunately, they fragged the Hemi and blasted me again. Boom. With a broken rocker arm. That kind of sucked. I don't know how much Mike's got tied up in them motors, but it's like the 3rd or 4th, 5th Hemi rebuild. It's a lot of money to be playing around with, but he likes going fast, so here we do going slow. Anyways, that's too bad for those guys. It sucked that they blew up the last day, but it is what it is. It was a good movie they made. Mike paid his crew, film crew, they did like it's like a 5-hour miniseries. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, let's get back to working on trucks. I've got the panel ready to weld on. I did some working after I turned the camera off last night. I got a zip screw locating both sides up here, which I think is an important area. It's located tight. I ended up pie cutting this one section here, I had to pull it out just a little bit. It didn't want to fit quite right, so I put a bunch of pie cuts in here, which will just get absorbed into the glue joint of the roof. The roof skin's going to need a little bit of tweaking. I had it on a couple more times. I trimmed it a little bit. It's going to need some trimming to fit, but I'm pretty confident the back of the cab is going good. The back window hole is like symmetrical. The new panel is up above the old panel a little bit all the way around, but here, this like stamping used to go way up in here, so I think the glass has got room. Like I said, I'll grind it to make it fit if I have to. But I think we are ready to attach this thing, get the glue out, glue it and weld it. The side fits good now here. I had a huge gap over here before, but same thing, I hammered this edge in that detail spot and got it to fit, and it fits over. I got a screw in here, but this side lines up. The roof will fit. The roof skin will fit good as long as these are lined up with the drip rails, which they are perfectly now. So I've got everything ground where I need to use the spot welder. And this is weld through primer on here, so I should be able to just go bzz, weld right through that. But I've got it, I think, where we got to be. I drilled some plug weld holes down here. Across the bottom, I'm going to plug weld that. I'm going to glue it here. There's an angled piece. I don't want any distortion out here in the cab corners because with the stepside box you would see that, so I'd have to body work this. So I'm going to glue this section, but I'm going to plug weld it here, and then we're going to spot weld the crap out of the back window with the spot welder. I've ground it all the way around, little spots, so I can go zzz, 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 all the way around. So it's going to come off one more time. I'm going to get the glue out. I'm going to put all the glue on all the glue surfaces while the panel is off. We've got an hour and a half to work with the glue, so I'll glue it all up, stick it back on the final time, put the zip screws back in to locate that. We're going to work from the top down. We're going to get the top in. Going to do a couple of welds around the window to locate that, a couple of welds here to locate that. Then I'll work our way down this to get the lower part in. And then the final spot we're going to do is I'll throw one clamp on to hold it tight, but final part will be along the bottom. Okay, so it's welding up good here. The spot welder's a little hit and miss. It's having a hard time with the weld through primer here. I guess I should have cleaned it off on the back side. It sparks, I wiggle it around, it goes, and then sometimes they get too hot and it burns through a little bit. This is hard because there's a little bit of rust on the seam anyway, so you saw me take the welder at a time lapse. I added just a little bit of weld to fill in where the tips burn from the spot welder, but it's coming all right. I got our plug welds good here on the door jamb. I like when I take the zip screw out because it gives me a hole to burn all the way through and get really good penetration. I also had put some glue on the seam, so it's also bonded with glue so it won't squeak or rattle on the inside lip there. But this side is all attached. The glue is self-pressuring along the back, so that's good. So I got this side all welded up. I got to put one more up here, but it's looking good on this side. The other side, when I get a little bit more room, I'm not going to time-lapse any more of the welding because you get the point, but I've got it clamped along the back so the glue is setting up in between the welds. I took the glue gun and I added more glue to this upper seam and kind of let it melt down in there. This side, I saw where I started with the welder. I'm going to probably hit a couple of these with the MIG welder gun too. I accidentally arced into the primer there. But it's not doing too bad. It's welding up. It seems to be holding on here all right. I hit a couple of them a couple times to get them nice and red, and they appear to be burning in there now. This doesn't want to come off, so I'm just going to continue on my zip screws and my clamps down along this side. Same thing, I put glue on the inside here, on the inside lip, so that's glued in on as well. I just kind of work it as I go, and it is what it is. If this is 100% like show truck, you wanted everything to be perfect, the doors should be hung, it should be fitted, the doors moved around, but it kind of fits how it fits, and it's going to be good enough for who it's for. It's a driver quality, fun truck for me, so this is way more than good enough. I'll probably take the grinder and clean off the self-etching primer all the way around where I got to do the spot welds here. It's going to be, I'll bury you that process because it's going to be a ton of me working and resting, holding that stupid heavy spot welder up. It's super heavy. So I'm going to just work my way around, burn this rear window in. I'll probably do my plug welds along the bottom next. Or actually, I'll come over here, I'll burn this side in, down, and then I'll hit the plug welds on the bottom. I'll transfer my clamps to the back window, just keep putting more and more clamps on it as they come off the other sides here, and burn the back window in. And that's going to do it for the back of the cab. A little bit of grinding work and seam seal work on the door jamb. I'll probably mask it off and just take a little brush on seam sealer and seam brush along the seam, just a little bit of seam sealer to seal her on up. But once this is ground down, it should make a nice weld. Nothing's coming through the outside. So there should be like almost zero body work required. That's one of the reasons why I spent the money on this panel. The original panel is all rusted off across here, rusted off down there. The cab corners would have had to be replaced. So even though this was $720 plus tax, I went to get it. So probably $850 all in, dollar-wise, I'd say, with everything, travel included to go get it. I'll probably save close to that in bodywork time, like welding on the cab corners, fixing all the, it would have been hours and hours and hours of piecing this together or filling it or whatever. And there was a ton of dents in it. So this one is like brand new, no dents, nothing. So to me, it was worth it. If you're doing it at home, or like I'm doing it at home, but if you're on a super tight budget, you could have mudded all the holes in and fixed it and spent, time is money. So if you don't have the money, at the time, I could have fixed it, but I'd rather focus on spend a little more money on panels that don't require a whole lot of body work and just put all new panels on it. And then it's done once, it's done right. We got it off, got all the sound deadening in there. See how quiet that is. This will get deadening, but it's going to be a way better product in the long run for me. And your mileage may vary dollar-wise, but I'm super happy with how it's coming out. This, like I said, this project has gone way, way, way overboard in terms of dollars, but these trucks are so junk, being all bare metal on the inside. It is what it is. They are rot boxes if you don't get one out of like Arizona. they're just complete rot boxes. All right, it's a little while later. I did a ton of welding and grinding and seam sealing, and I've got the roof skin just kind of thrown up on there, eyeballing. But let's go ahead and finish out the video here with the cab back. You can see that I've ground it all down here, all my plug welds. Oops, that one's a little high. But I'm going to get them all going. Eventually, I'm probably going to put a little bit of seam sealer on that seam there. Once I clean this up a little bit. I went around the rear window. I was using the spot welder and the inner piece here because it was a little rusty on the inside. Originally, I cleaned up the best I could. The spot welder was burning through the inner panel here, some of the parts. So I ended up drilling it with a drill all the way around, and I ended up plug welding it by hand with a MIG welder all the way around, and then ground that down. I seam sealed the bottom seam so any water that runs down there won't get in between the panels. I left the top one open so in case any water gets around the seal in there, it can run off and not get trapped in the top, and this will get all primed with epoxy primer again. I need to do some masking and precision seam sealing on the inner panel here and some other precision seam sealing, but I've got my plug welds down here. I've got all the clamps still on the bottom because all that glue on the bottom is still curing, so I'll leave those on for a day. But I ground up a couple of these here, and with a stepside box, I'm not sure exactly where that comes, but probably like the whole or most of the cab corner will be showing with a box, you know, yeah, because it should be about there. So I probably don't even need to body work them, to just grind them smooth and paint them. But there's absolutely no dents or nothing. There's going to be very, very little amount of body work required, if anything, maybe on the bottom where the cab corner or the rocker panel goes. And these, I'll just grind them just a little bit more and smooth them up. They'll probably just be as what it is. Well, guys, it's multiple days later because I've been busy at work and it's been cold out. But the cab is looking in good shape. I got all my clamps off. I've ground it all down. I forgot if I showed that last time, but I ground it all down. I've just got to hit the plug welds on the back of the cab. And now I'm doing the roof skin, trying to get this guy figured out. And unfortunately, it's not going as good as I would like it to go. It's got to have a little bit of tweaking done, but I've got my AMD roof panel here, which I don't know. So here's the problem. I'm putting aftermarket parts with aftermarket parts on a truck. So I've got aftermarket cab back, aftermarket roof skin. I've used, you know, these trucks are put together in a factory. Everyone's different a little bit-ish, depending on what happens. So I'm trying to make it, it's fitting up pretty good, but it's not 100% perfect, but I'm going to make it work. Just take a little bit of action as the last step. So I've got the AMD roof panel here. I've put kill mat on the inside of the roof skin. I've gone and I'm going to glue it and plug weld it. I've drilled some plug weld holes along here in the front. I'm going to use a bunch of glue in the front. I'm going to use all glue in the back combined with a couple of tack welds. And it should fit, like I said, fairly well. The glue is multiple hours to work with, obviously, just like the same glue I used before. So I'm going to get it maneuvered into place, start clamping it and like mushing it into place, and then weld it and then work it. And it's going to take a little bit of fitting up. It's the back corners that are the problem. This shape here must be just a little bit different than the shape on the roof by like an 1/8 inch or so. And I've got to do, I might have to put like a slice in it. Anyways, the rest of it fits good except for there. So I'm going to get out the glue. I'm going to apply glue all up here on the back edge. I'm going to put glue on the front edge. Right here I've cleaned up where the plug welds are going to go. I'm going to glue in between the plug welds. So I'm going to put a whole bunch of crap on there, and we'll stick it up on there and start clamping it down and welding it. But this will be the last piece of putting the major components of the cab back together. Okay, I got my glue all situated here. I put it pretty heavy on the back side. I'm going to switch it around here in a minute and show you, but for now I've got to use combinations of clamping and it's the word I'm looking for, clamping and welding to get this thing lined up, because it's kind of hard to get the back seam where it's got to be. And if I can walk on this frame without falling off it, I should have put like a piece of plywood on here, because this is kind of dangerous. All right. Got our kill mat on the inside. I'm going to try to place this where it's got to go. Oh, without getting glue everywhere. Okay, coming towards you guys, coming down. Don't set your sweatshirt in the glue. Oh, I'm nowhere near where I gotta be yet. Okay. Boom. All right. Now, gotta go right about there. I've had this on and off here 50 times, but I think we're in the ballpark now. And the secret is apparently you can weld through the glue when it's wet. So if I get any glue that's where I don't want it, it will be a-okay, I believe. There's going to be a seam sealed seam on the back that's, you know, the cab brace back here. And so any tack welds I do back here to hold this, I can grind flush and they'll disappear into the seam sealer. So that is my plan with that. So once it, oh, I got glue on top. Once it's where it's got to be, it's where it's got to be. And I've marked it with a marker. And it appears to be lining up. I've got to attach this back section and then work forward, kind of like do what it is. And I'm going to have to end up doing some pie cuts over here in these back corners. Neither back corner fits very good. But it is what it is. And I don't understand why it fits the way it does, but it fits the way it does. So I'm going to start in the center, push my center down where it's got to be, which appears to be right there, and just do a little tack. Just a little tack. Woo. Just a little tacky tack. This side, got to come down. Whoop. Yep, just like that. Perfect. Looking pretty good. Oh yeah. Clamp near the plug welds. All right, there we go. Just kind of suck that guy down in. Boom, sealed up. Boom. Oh yeah, perfect. It is what it is, unfortunately. But I know this video is super long, so I've saved you days, or I've saved you hours of me fitting this off camera, back on and off, and on and off, and on and off, to get to this point. So we are trucking right along. Oh yeah, look at that. Boom. Boom. Boom goes the dynamite. So the glue doesn't like to be welded on, obviously, but it is what it is. You just got to use these tacks to hold it. They don't got to be perfect. They'll get ground down later, but in the process of sucking this guy where it's got to be. Nice. Ooh. we got a big misalignment over here. Got to get some clamp action going over here. Got to get this side down. There we go. I'm being very careful when I beat on this not to hit on the roof itself, the flat, hitting on the edge so I don't dent it. This glue does not like to be welded through. I can tell you that right now. This is what I'm working on here, a slight misalignment here. I'm gonna have to do some pie cutting with the cutoff wheel a little bit, work this corner down. I'm gonna work everything out this corner. Unfortunately, it's gonna mean body work up on that corner of the roof, but it fits how it fits. The seam across the center is good. Those spot welds will grind down after the glue sets up and flow into the seam sealer. The gap is just a touch wide here, but I think I can just seam sealer that. And I'm gonna have to do a pie cut here where this is lifted up that 1/4 inch. I'm gonna have to pie cut it, drop it down. That'll hide in the drip rail. So AMD roof skin and the CJ Pony parts, or whoever made this rear panel I got from CJ Pony parts, don't quite line up, but like I said, aftermarket parts on top of aftermarket parts. Some fitting required. But overall, it's going to be good. There's not going to be any dents in the roof on the big section. It's going to be all brand new metal, all glued on. The seam is coming out good here. And I'm just going to clamp and weld across the front and then clamp and hold it. Plug weld on both sides and then zip, cut this and make this fit somehow. So that's my plan for now. This video is probably super, super long. So let me fast forward to the welding. You don't need to watch me weld again and fit up again and glue again and clamp again. We'll go and we'll get to the finished product here in a minute. Okay, I figured out what to do here with my mix match my roof. I made a cardboard template and the corner of this cab is sucked down. It's not made the same as the other side. So the roof curve here matches the curve of the roof on the other side. So I'm gonna fix this, not the right way, but the best way I can do without making major surgery out of this. I've made a piece and I'm just gonna cap over this and push it into the seam with some panel bond adhesive, and we're going to weld it in place. But it's going to, if you can envision what we're doing here, look at that. Now I've built it up with metal and it's glued on the inside, so it should be watertight, and then we're going to weld it on the outside. But I need to tap her into place like that. That'll make the seam up good. It'll match, and I'll be able to weld it all along here, and then we'll body work it. Just take a little bit of filler. We use some Duraglass filler, go over it, reinforced fiberglass filler, because there's going to be a little bit of filler required, but this will fill this gap up and make a hard line out of metal instead of, you know, just trying to make the whole thing out of body filler. So I'm going to tack it in place. Let me back you guys up so you don't get welded on. And like I said, this isn't probably the best idea, obviously, but it's the idea that's going to give me the best scenario for this thing in the long run. That's nice. So that'll go and make a nice metal edge that will match. I'm just going to do a little bit of seam sealer. And we'll body work it and it will disappear, but we'll have a good metal repair here. And this panel is weld through primer, so it's got some protection underneath it. It's going to be as good as we can do for now. And since it's not a big curve, it's going to be a lot easier to hide it. A lot of great progress in this video getting this back panel fitted, which fit really good except for right here. Getting the roof fitted, which fit pretty well. Get it glued and welded, and once I dress all this up, grind all these welds smooth, tape this off, seam seal it perfectly like it was from the factory in here, seam seal all the way around. I'm going to put it really heavy in the front edges. I still need to add the drip rails, which I have that are replacement ones. I'll probably do a combination of gluing and a couple of spot welds, but probably just mostly gluing those on because there's no really load on those. Get them glued on. And then the next time we will cut these door bars out of this cab and hang the doors and put the outer rockers on, weld them on, and then this cab will be all ready to go to bodywork and prime again and eventually paint it. But I'm really happy with how it came out. For the most part, it's good as we can expect with all aftermarket parts, and it's going to be very, very, very little filler work right here, and that's about it. Like no other really filler work required except maybe a tiny little bit in the door jambs. The rest of it will be all seam sealed, so we're essentially going to have a cab that's going to be 99% no body filler. It's going to just be all metal. It'll be nice. The roof skin is perfect. There's no dents or dings in the roof, so just be able to scuff that and prime it and paint it. And the same thing in the back of the cab. I spent a lot of time clamping, gluing it, try not to put any dents in it. I think I've got one tiny little dimple from a clamp down there, but I think it's behind where you won't see it with the box. And we'll do a little bit of body work on the rocker panels when we fit them on, but other than that, this thing should be 99% filler free, just all metal work and all primed, all sound deadened, and the best part, no rust. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Finally turning the C10 truck back into something cool here at the Quick Speed Shop.